Good afternoon. I've been traveling a bit, so I would rather stand and try to beat my jet lag so that I don't fall asleep. From the very morning, I've been observing two of our fantastic organizers, Sonam Fasila and Devesh Anandla, planned this very well. They rushed all the first three panels to finish on time, so we have all the time in the world. So I asked them, what's our time limit? They said, there is no time limit now. We have the whole panel, and dinner starts only at 7, so is it 4:15? Yeah, to 7 we can go on. So that's why I also decided to stand so that I'm away from the moderator, so I can pretend not to see whenever he waves 5 minutes or 7 minutes, anything like that. Yeah. So thank you for hosting the event. And what I'll try to do is, look at the topic. It's geopolitics, succession, reincarnation. I'll try to talk in reverse way, okay? Because we have two fantastic speakers, and I was telepathically trying to guess what they might speak. But then I was very tempted after Sonam Fasila, explained the topic. I thought perhaps geopolitics, we must address this, because some might think that Tibet is such a small country. It is not. If Tibet was an independent country, it's almost like 12th or the 13th largest territory in the world, right? Hence the interest. Why geopolitics? So if, like Martin says, Chinese government, of course, is a communist party. There's a religionist poison. They don't believe, it's an atheist regime. They don't believe in religion, and they are not interested in reincarnation. They don't believe in reincarnation. For us, reincarnation is the individual. For Chinese government, their interest is not reincarnation, but the office, right? They don't care who that person is, They can change, but they care the office. Why the office? Because His Holiness the Dalai Lama's influence ranges from Ladakh to Himachal to Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, all the way to Arunachal Pradesh. Whole of Himalayan belt, most sensitive area between India and China presently. If you control the office of Dalai Lama, you can influence the Himalayan region to lean more towards China than towards Tibetans or India. Now up north is Tibet. You control the office of Dalai Lama, you can control Tibet. And what is Tibet? Tibet is very rich in water, right? 6 of the 10 largest rivers of Asia flow from Tibet. 136 different kinds of minerals. 75% of uranium, the lithium reserve of China is in Tibet. So that's why they want to control minerals. They want to control water. That's why Tibet. And up north is Inner Mongolia. Also majority Buddhists, and they follow Dalai Lama as their teacher. They want to have control or influence over Mongolia, or rather continue to sustain their influence over Mongolia. Why? 90% of the rare earth of China is in Inner Mongolia. Now, rare earth is weaponized by Chinese government. They are pressuring whole Western world. America also, it's quite weak on this, because without rare earth, you cannot have phones, satellites, missiles, any technology now. But 90% of the rare earth is in Inner Mongolia. So when China is weaponizing globally about rare earth, it's Inner Mongolian rare earth. Now you have the office of Dalai Lama, you can influence Inner Mongolia. Up north, independent Mongolia. Again, they follow Dalai Lama as their religious leader. So again, look at the landmass. From Himalayan region to Tibet to Inner Mongol, Outer Mongolia. Up north of Mongolia, Buret, Tuba, and Kalmyk, 3 republics of Russia, are also Buddhist. They also follow Dalai Lama. Can you imagine the influence of the office of Dalai Lama? That's why they want to control the office of Dalai Lama. Now, Buret, Kalmyk, and Tuba, again, rich in natural resources as well, but now it's connected to, can you imagine reincarnation of Dalai Lama is connected to Ukraine war? Because Russia is dependent on China now, 90% of the drones of Russia are supplied one way or the other by China. But you might not know, 40% of the drone parts of Ukraine are also supplied by China. Why? They want to prolong the war. You prolong the war in Ukraine, that means you drain Europe, including UK, it's coalition of the willing, and there's war fatigue, and you exhaust all your resources. And more Russia prolongs its war, Russia also drains its economy, it weakens itself, and it becomes from junior to junior most partner of China. Right? Now, they're killing 5 birds with 1 stone. Ukraine, Russia, Europe, and America. If there is an invasion of Taiwan, some say it is going to happen, but some say 2027, anytime, Europe and NATO will not be in position to support because they say we are so exhausted with Ukraine war. We don't want to touch Taiwan. And America, with 28 countries in Europe, is not able to defeat Russia. In Asia, how many countries will support America? 4 or 5 at most. Now, because of Russia's dependency on China, China is pressuring all these 3 republics in Russia to support China and go against Dalai Lama. That's why His Holiness Dalai Lama has not been able to visit Russia for the last 10 years. Recently, there was an international conference just a few weeks ago in Kalmyk, International Buddhist Conference. Delegations from all the Buddhist countries participated. And India also had a delegation, which included 3 Indian citizens with Indian passport, but from Tibetan monasteries of Tibetan origin. But China pressured Russia to deny them visa. Now India buys 70% of the arms from Russia, oil from Russia. India has been a great friend of Russia, but now Russia had to choose between Indian pressure or Chinese pressure. Right? Who did they choose? They chose China. And visas were denied to 3 Tibetan Lamas. That's why we want this war to end. Because if war continues, more Russia becomes dependent on China, China will say 3 republics should choose their Dalai Lama and not our Dalai Lama. Right? So, geopolitically is very important. Now I want to address 3 things because we don't have Chinese representation. I'll try to make their point of view and then counter it from Tibetan perspective. Number 1, the Chinese government says, as the statement was read, we decree and decide the next Dalai Lama because we have the authority. Whoever we select or decree will be the 15th Dalai Lama, and Dalai Lama himself have no role, no right to decide. That's their claim. And we will use golden urn to select that is more authentic than whatever traditional process the Tibetans will use. And third, we have laws. 1995 regulation, 2007 order number 5. So we have all this in place. That's why we have more right to decide or select the next Dalai Lama, not the Dalai Lama and Tibetan people. Now let's go one by one. Chinese government claims they have, when an emperor decrees, followers follow. Now we have to go back to 5th Dalai Lama. 5th Dalai Lama dies, Desi Sangye Gyatso hides, in the previous panel it was shared, hide the fact that the 5th Dalai Lama died for more than 14 years. Number 1, if Tibet was part of China, directly under control of China, how can anyone can hide someone's death for 14 years and Beijing or Chinese government not know about it? The fact that Beijing or Chinese emperor was so far away that no clue what was happening in Tibet was clear that one could hide for 14 years. First of all, I'm making this Chinese point of view, from Chinese perspective. Okay, Manchu is a foreign ruler over China, which is a separate matter. Now what happens is, after 14 years, the Qing came to know that, oh, 5th Dalai Lama has died. Desi Sangye Gyatso, why did you hide this? You're wrong. What the hell did you do? But Desi Sangye Gyatso said, yes, I want to complete the construction of Potala Palace, so I hide this, but this is the authentic Dalai Lama from Arunachal Pradesh. And the Qing said, okay, I decree that he is the reincarnation of 5th Dalai Lama. But then Lobsang Khan, grandson of Gushe Khan, said, you know what, my grandfather was too generous to Tibetans, I'm going to lead my own army, slaughter aristocrats, and dethrone 6th Dalai Lama. I'm going to put my own nephew, some say his own son, as the 6th Dalai Lama. And then he writes to Qing, my son is the Dalai Lama now, 6th Dalai Lama. But I already gave 1 degree to the other Dalai Lama, the Tibetan one. No, no, my son is the Dalai Lama now. Okay, degree issued. Your son is the 6th Dalai Lama. Then the Mongols in Kokonor area, they rebel. They say, how come, Lhasa Khan, you are Mongolian? You can't do this. Dalai Lama is very sacred, very important to us. It's Tibetan, And the Tibetans also revolt. And they appeal to Qing and say, this guy is wrong. We got the real Dalai Lama born in Lithang. Okay, decreed, he is the 6th Dalai Lama. So we had 3 Dalai Lamas living at the same time, recognized his degree was issued by Qing. Can you imagine? My point is, degree didn't matter. Local recognition determined the authentication of Dalai Lama, not other way around. If degree determined, then there should not be 3 Dalai Lamas, right? It's the local. This Sangay gives, I have the authentic one, and the decree was issued. Lhasa Khan fraudulently claimed, because they wanted to control the office, it's a fraudulent. It's his son or a nephew. Okay, we want the office. We don't care who the Dalai Lama is. But then the Tibetans said, no, we have the real one. Okay, degree. So when Chinese government says we have the authority, our decree is the final say, historically wrong. Now they bring a golden urn made out of gold. And so now if you put 3 names in this with ivory sticks, you stir it, whichever comes out is the authentic one. Because the reincarnation process is too complicated. Who knows who is right or wrong? There is a corruption, there's abuses, powerful families, put their candidates forward. And there were abuses in Tibet. We should accept that fact. But then we have a very democratic, transparent way of getting rid of them. We have many great lineages. Many of them ended because some way or the other, they lost their ways, there was abuse, there was corruption, and followers said, we can't accept this. It's a fraudulent way. We have our own ways. It might take years, even a generation, but we get rid of them. But Chinese government said, no. Golden urn, you shake it, stir it, ivory stick is so precious. When the name comes out, it's the authentic one. But then if you read papers and books written about golden urn, it brought more corruption. You bribe the ambans, Chinese officials, you get your candidate in the golden urn. They even select you. So it did not end corruption or abuses. So golden urn did not prevent corruption, abuses, thereby the justification is invalid or weakened. Now, golden urn itself, we must know, the traditional process is, yes, there's a lot of divination, all that. Finally, Lama puts name of the candidates in a dough. They put a name in a dough, 2, 3 dough, and then in a bowl, they stir it. They're praying. And they stir it, when the name pops up, they say, okay, this is the reincarnated Lama. That's a traditional way. Most of the Lamas are selected that way. The who is responsible put names in the dough, and 3 dough, and then they stir it, name pops up, and say, okay, this is the one. Or they will try again and do it. So what golden urn did was they just changed the material from the bowl to an urn, dough with ivory stick. Now, if you change the material, can you say, I've introduced a totally new procedure. This is a new procedure, and hence, I have modernized the Tibetan selection process, and this is the legitimate one. No, they just changed the material. Changing a material does not bring new procedure or new regulations or new system. It's just a change of material. So when they show their golden urn, okay, just so. Now, if the Chinese government use golden urn, will Tibetan follow? No, because Panchen Lama, Tashilumpo Monastery is the base of Panchen Lama. When he died, Chinese government appointed a search committee led by Chari Rinpoche of Tashilumpo Monastery. And they did all the search committee, right? Finally, they narrowed down and say, you know what? Gendin Choge Nyima is the Panchen Lama. Recommended by Chari Rinpoche, the name was sent to His Holiness Dalai Lama in India, and Dalai Lama also did divination and said, you know what? Yes, Gendin Choge Nyima is the Panchen Lama. We must remember this. Chinese government appointed committee of Tashilumpo Monastery helped them selected and finalized Gendin Choge Nyima as Panchen Lama. And then His Holiness said yes, and he made the announcement. We make a mistake by saying His Holiness Dalai Lama recognized Panchen Lama. No, he endorsed Panchen Lama. But what did Chinese government do? 2 minutes. You're being so ungenerous. Yeah. In front of Kalu Rinpoche, we are talking about compassion, kindness, you know. You can't be so corporate and stick things like that, right? Now, let's have a popular vote. Should I continue? Raise your hand. So,
No.
unanimously voted.
No.
Now,
No democracy.
so, and so, you know, my point is, now, Gendin Shögyin Nyima is the legitimate one, right? Now the Chinese government, what he did? They kidnapped him, he disappeared. In his place, they brought Ganzen Nubu, they brought the golden urn, right? And put 3 names, and they picked Ganzen Nubu, whose parents happened to be Communist Party members, right? And he said, he is the Pension Lama. How many Tibetans in this room will accept Ganzen Nubu as the Pension Lama? No. We still believe Gendin Shögyin Nyima, he has disappeared. We have not met him. We have not seen him for 30 years. Because for us, the person is the reincarnated Lama, not the office, right? So let me end with this. Let me end with this, right? So golden urn doesn't matter. Now finally, there's order number 7 and order number 5. My point is till 1990, there was no laws regulating reincarnation. When Penchen Lama died in 1990, when His Holiness Dalai Lama got Nobel Peace Prize in 1990, Chinese government, we need laws. And then they brought laws. So laws were brought way later. So there were no laws from 1951 till 1990, more than almost 40 years. There were no laws. So laws were brought post facto to justify their previous action. So laws, no validity. Golden urn, no validity. Degree, no validity. Thank you.